Welcome to Hannity. So voters head to the polls tomorrow in Indiana. Now the Hoosier state could have a major impact on the 2016 race. And here to explain what's at stake is Fox and Friends' Heather Nauert. Heather.
Hi, Sean. Tomorrow's showdown in Indiana has the potential to change the direction of the Republican race. The Hoosier state is thought to be Senator Ted Cruz's last chance to stop Donald Trump from getting the 1,237 delegates needed to clinch the nomination. Senator Cruz campaigning hard in this key state. But a new NBC News Wall Street Journal Marist poll shows Donald Trump with a 15-point lead heading into tomorrow's contest. The Republican frontrunner has 49%, Senator Ted Cruz with 34%, and Governor John Kasich is third with 13%. Sean, on the Republican side, 57 delegates will be on the line in Indiana. So if that poll holds, Donald Trump could walk away with a large share of those delegates. And a big win tomorrow could go a long way in helping Trump lock up the nomination. Primaries in delegate-rich states, including California and New Jersey, coming up on the calendar soon. And finally, there is a new Rasmussen head-to-head poll that's out today. It shows Donald Trump beating Hillary Clinton 41 to 39%. Those numbers, of course, within the margin of error, but it is still good news for Mr. Trump. As always, Sean, we'll keep track of all the 2016 developments. Back to you.
And Heather Nauert, thank you. Joining us now, 2016 Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump. Mr. Trump, good to see you. I've got to imagine that I'm sure you're happy with the polls that I just mentioned, that Heather just mentioned in Indiana, but why do I suspect the Rasmussen poll that has you up against Hillary probably appeals to you more?
Well, actually, the Indiana poll is so important. You know, I've been in Indiana for a long time now, and I'm here now, and we're going to some really big rallies tonight, and it's just been like a love fest. And Bobby Knight, as you know, came out and endorsed me, and so many other people. So Indiana is very important because I think it just all ends with Indiana, and then we start against Hillary. And on top of this, I heard we just came out with a great poll. Rasmussen has me up on Hillary. And I'm very happy about that.
All right, let's talk about, you kind of have a little bit of a battle of the endorsements in Indiana. 57 delegates at stake. You have a number of polls that have you up by double digits. You say if you win Indiana, you think this race is over. What about the strategy has been, though, for a while of Ted Cruz and John Kasich to prevent you from getting a 1237? Will you reach out to them if you do win the state? Will you say it's time to unify?
Well, I think basically all of the pundits, not that they're right because, you know, they've been wrong so much, but they're all saying that it's over if you win Indiana. Now, I have a few to go, but, you know, it looks like I'm going to win California big. Actually, Nebraska's looking very good, and other states are looking very good. Oregon, we had a very good poll there. So we're having some great polls come out for, you know, a lot of different states. Now, if I win just a couple of them, it's over. New Jersey, certainly, we're doing very well there. We had a poll recently, and we're through the roof in New Jersey, and that's a big state. That's a lot of delegates. So a lot of the people are saying that if I win in Indiana, that's the end for, you know, Lion Ted Cruz. So let's see what happens.
How do you unify? You started out with 17. You now have 2 more opponents. You say if you win, it's over. How do you bring Ted Cruz, John Kasich, and the other 15 guys that were opponents of yours into your camp, and do you think it's necessary in a battle against the Democrats? Wouldn't it be better to unify in the end?
It's better, but I'm not sure. I don't think it's necessary, actually, but I think it's better. Certainly, if we could have unification. My whole life has been, believe it or not, people smile, but it's about unification. You look at our country, it's totally divided. We have a president that divides white and black and so many others, income groups. It's totally a divided country. I will bring people together. And I think what's going to happen, Sean, and you know this because I had mentioned this once before, but over the last 3 weeks, I have received so many calls from people that have said the worst things about me, things that you can't imagine. And they've said it publicly on television that, you know, they were backing somebody else. And they've been calling me, especially over the last week, because, you know, we had the big win in New York and the big win in Pennsylvania and Connecticut and all the other places, Maryland. We had these massive wins that were, you know, I mean, they were landslides. And everybody's now calling me, want to get on. And one in particular called. He said such horrible things. And he said, Donald, I want to endorse you. I want to go with you. I want to change. I want to go with you. I said, how can you do that after what you said? He said, I have no problem. So, you know, they're politicians. Yeah. They can do whatever they want. But it's we're going to have a lot. I think you're going to see a very unified party, actually.
Let's go back to Friday night. You were giving a speech. I think you had 31,000 people there. You had all the protesters outside. One of the things that I noticed a lot were a lot of people had Mexican flags. I didn't see many American flags, if any at all. What does that mean? How do you interpret that in terms of so many people waving the Mexican flag? And it obviously goes to the heart of the battle over immigration.
The reason you didn't see American flags, they were burning the American flag, and they were burning it 2 days later when they had a rally. They were burning the American flag, and they were holding up the Mexican flag. Now, look, I want to take business back from Mexico. I want to compete. I want to take people that are leaving, like Carrier is leaving. You take a look at Carrier Air Conditioning. They're leaving Indianapolis, and they're leaving Indiana, and they're going to Mexico. And they're firing 1,400 people rather viciously, by the way. And they're going to open in Mexico. They're going to make air conditioners. They're going to sell them across our border, and they're not going to get – there's no consequences. I will stop that, 100%. I will stop that. I think I'll probably even be able, if we go fast enough, to stop Carrier from leaving. I don't want our companies to be able to leave, you know, to that extent. Because if they do leave, they have to pay a consequence. There has to be a consequence, Sean, if they leave. They're leaving 1,400 jobs behind. They're going to make air conditioners in Mexico. They're going to hire Mexicans. And there's not going to be anything happening. There's no tax, no nothing. Our country is losing all of its businesses, and we have to stop it. So I will be able to stop it. Politicians don't know how to stop it. I will stop it quickly and easily. That's like an easy one for me.
What about H-1B visas? In other words, those people that come from other countries, they overstay their visas. There was a statistic that came out the other day. I'm not sure if you saw it. You've talked about how phony the unemployment numbers are. But there's 20% of American families don't have a single person in the family, in the labor force, not one person that has a job. So what do you do to the carriers or the Fords or other companies?
Right. I have a whole thing. It's Make America Great Again, but it's also America First, okay? We have to take care of our people. Now, if we need additional labor, we'll take care of that, but we have to take care of our people. You have cases where people are coming in and just replacing American jobs. You have cases where the Americans are training them to take their jobs, and then the Americans are unemployed for the rest of their lives. It has to be America First, Sean, and that's what we're going to have. It has to be. We have no choice. Or we're not going to have a country anymore.
You kind of broke a little bit of, I know you love to do your rallies, but you gave a foreign policy speech, a serious speech. And you talked about America First. And you talked about how many foreign policy mistakes we've made over the years. And you talked about building up the military. How specifically do you prevent, if you're going to defeat ISIS, how do you prevent putting boots on the ground in the Middle East? I'll agree with you. I think things have gotten much worse, precipitously worse, especially under Obama pulling out early after we had invested so much time, energy, life's blood, and American treasure. How do you win that battle if you're not going to put people on the ground?
So our military has become very depleted. We give tremendous amounts of munitions and everything. We give everything to people that we think are allies, and one shot's fired in the air, and they drop their equipment and they run, okay? And the enemy ends up picking up our equipment. But our military is totally depleted, and it's exhausted. And it shouldn't be that way. We're going to build up our military. We have to take out ISIS. We'll do it in conjunction with others, but we're going to have to take out ISIS. They're chopping out heads. And you remember, look, I've been doing this a long time with you. I was always against the war in Iraq. I said it's going to totally destabilize the Middle East, and that's what it's done. It's a disaster. But we were there, and Obama, the way there, as you just said, the way he got us out of that was also, it was catastrophic what he did, because he should have left troops back. And I've been saying keep the oil. If we're going to leave, keep the oil.
Can you get
but we're going to have to take out ISIS.
Can you get the Saudis to fight? Can you get the Jordanians and the Egyptians to put their boots on the ground, considering it's right in their backyard?
They're going to have to.
And you think you can get them to do it?
Now, they have not proven. They have not proven to be great fighters. You know, if you look at some of these people, the Kurds have fought hard, but if you look at a lot of the people that we are supporting, they haven't been great with the fighting. Now, we'll see what happens. And I think, look, Jordan, he's a terrific person and a wonderful family. And there are a lot of good things that are happening over there if we could ever unify people. I mean, they have to be unified, but they have to do the fighting. We shouldn't be sending our troops. We've lost thousands of troops. We've lost trillions of dollars. We've spent, if you add it up, probably $4 trillion in the Middle East. And we have to rebuild our country. I mean, there's a time. They've spent years, 15 years. There's a time at which we have to say, let's get the heck out. We have to build our country. We have to rebuild the United States. Our roads are bad. Our airports are third world airports. Our transportation systems, everything we have in this country is a disaster. We have to get back to rebuilding our country.
There's no doubt.
Joan, if you add it up, it has to be $4 trillion. And most importantly, all of the lives we've lost. Somebody else over there, I mean, these are the beneficiaries more so than us. They're going to have to do the fighting. We can help them with airstrikes and lots of other things. But we have to get people to do some fighting. But regardless, we have to take out ISIS. Have to take it. And
there's
also,
no doubt, though, the rest of the world has gotten a free ride. The world has gotten a free ride off the United States. And,
it's true.
But without American leadership, I'm not so sure we'd have even the level of stability where we have it now, which I don't think is particularly strong. Agree?
Wealthy countries have gotten a free ride. I'm not just talking about countries that need help. You look at NATO, where we're paying such a disproportionate cost. We're protecting people. We're protecting these countries. You have 28 countries. We're protecting these countries. And just take a look at what's happening in NATO, where they're delinquent and they're not paying what they're supposed to be paying, and some aren't paying at all. And we just keep paying, and we're protecting them. And we've got to it's got to be a whole different deal, because
we've got to take a break.
We owe right now $19 trillion, and we've got to change the whole formula.
And $125 trillion in unfunded liabilities that very few people talk about. But we'll have more with Donald Trump right after the break, and coming up later tonight. As we continue with 2016 Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump. All right, so you tweeted out, crooked Hillary said she's used to dealing with men who get off the reservation. Actually, she's done very poorly with such men. And you had made a statement that I think the only card she has is the woman's card, and if she were a man, I don't think she'd get 5% of the vote. That has stirred in the media some controversy. I wanted to give you a chance to explain.
Well, they're both true statements. I mean, first of all, her first statement about the reservation was, aside from being put down by Native Americans very strongly, but forgetting about that, it was a very derogatory statement to men. It was almost as though she's going to just tell us what to do, tell men what to do. I thought it was a very derogatory statement. It was a real put down. If I would have made that statement, or if somebody else would have made that statement, it would have been like a big headline. She got away with it. I don't know, maybe she didn't get away with it, but very, very derogatory statement about men and to men. And that's the way I feel about it. And as far as her running for office, if she's playing the woman's card like I've never seen anybody play it, I think even women are disgusted by it. And there's no question about it. If she were a man, I don't think she'd get 5% of the vote.
One of the things you said about Governor Romney's campaign, especially in that third debate, you thought he took his foot off the gas. If you get the nomination, you've talked about, I haven't even begun to go after Hillary Clinton. Is everything in your view fair game about the Clintons, about their past, about Bill? Is everything fair game, or is this something she will determine based on how she runs her campaign if it was against you?
Well, it depends on how they come after me. Let's see how they come after me. No, I would not say everything's fair game unless they come after me in a certain way, in which case it becomes more open, and we'll see what happens. But I will tell you, I have been a counterpuncher. We had 17 people in this race, and one by one they got off. Very capable people, governors, senators, and some of them are incredible people like Ben Carson, Dr. Carson, who endorsed me, and Chris Christie, who endorsed me, and some others that I think others are going to be endorsing me out of the race. I mean, they're very capable people. But one by one, I won, and now I'm here, and I'm beating Cruz by a landslide. He should be getting out soon. Yeah. And Kasich has only won 1 out of 48. I mean, I think he's 1 for 48 or 1 for 46, including the islands, including whatever it is. But he's like 1 for something that's massive, and I don't even know, if he. I don't even know, does he stay or does he not stay? But what's going on? You know, if you look at Kasich, Rubio and Carson and Christie, many people were doing better than him, and they decided, you know, they thought it was maybe for the good of the party or the good of themselves, but certainly Ben Carson was doing fantastically. These people got out. And Kasich is, I guess the last number was so astronomical.
These exit polls after every state, they all say the same thing, that 60%, fully 60+% of Republicans feel betrayed by the Republican Party. Now, if you look at the two big eras where conservatism advanced and where I think conservative ideas solved a lot of the country's problems, one was when Reagan was president, the other was Newt Gingrich and the contract with America. Because the distrust level is so high, one, how do you get Congress to go along with your agenda? And two, would you consider putting down on paper the very promises that you're making to the American people and then check off the list one by one?
Well, I think I might do that. I'm doing certain policy positions and certain policy standards, and I'm, you know, getting pretty good marks for it, I think. I did one recently, as you saw, and I'm getting very good marks. I mean, we have very detailed policy on tax. We're going to lower taxes very substantially, and we're going to get especially on the middle income and especially on business, so we're going to get business back to work. Because if you look at the real unemployment rate, it's probably 20%. It could even be higher than that. People give up looking for jobs. It's a mess. I mean, that's one of the reasons I have so many people at my rallies. We have 31 and 35,000 people recently at rallies, and it's incredible when you see what's going on. And a lot of it's the economy and the fact that they can't get jobs.
How specifically, for example, if you did win tomorrow and you get the nomination, it's been pretty contentious between you and Senator Cruz. Would you personally reach out to him? Would you say, like, for example, I know that you said recently that you're going to actually give a list of names, and it would only be from that list that you would choose a Supreme Court nominee. Would you reach out to Ted Cruz? Would you want him on your team? Would you want to unite the party?
Well, look, the party should be united. Does it have to be? No. I think I can win without really having a perfectly united party. I mean, there are some people I don't want their endorsements because they were so nasty and they lied and they said a lot of bad things.
I guess Lindsey Graham is on that
frankly,
list.
Their endorsement doesn't mean...
Yeah.
Well, no, Lindsey Graham, look, I beat him so badly. I was at 48 and he was at nothing. I mean, practically nothing. The guy got out and now all he does is go around and badmouth me. And he's wrong on his military policy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. That's why we've been fighting the war so long. You know, we're listening to these people that don't know what they're doing. That's why we fight ISIS. We can't even beat ISIS because we listen to people like Lindsey Graham. But he's been so nasty. I don't care if he endorses me or not. It doesn't matter. And it won't have any impact on the election. It won't have any impact. But I would like to see, with that, I'd like to see a united party because we would have possibly a little better chance. I don't know. I would love to see the Republicans unite. Because we're going to beat. You just see the poll that just came out a couple of hours ago where I'm beating Hillary, and I haven't even started on Hillary. But I beat all of these people.
Yeah. Last week the Battleground poll had you tied with Hillary. Rasmussen today has you up. Previously, you were down. I think the Real Clear Politics average was down -7. What has changed in the last couple of weeks from your perspective where that race in a general election hypothetical matchup has closed the way it has?
The voters are getting to know me. And I'll go a step further. I think a lot of the young people that are with Bernie Sanders are going to come over to my side because they want jobs. They see what's happening. And Bernie Sanders and I agree on one thing, trade, that we don't know what we're doing on trade. The difference is I'll make great deals out of it. He doesn't know what to do. I mean, he's a socialist. He doesn't know what to do. I'll make great deals out of it. But the people that are with Bernie Sanders, the young people, I really believe they're going to come over and vote for me. I think we're going to have a lot of cross. I think a lot of the people that are with Hillary are going to come out to vote for me. Certainly the independents and people that have never voted for, they've already come over and they voted for me. That's why the Republican Party is up millions of votes. So I'm leading Cruz by millions and millions of votes. I'm leading him by hundreds of delegates. Like it's, you know, I'm leading by a lot. And I should get to that number very easily and very soon.
All right, Mr. Trump, thanks for your time, as always. Appreciate it. Good luck Tuesday.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
And coming up next tonight right here on